little town where I'm from, where everybody's southern raised, just as good as they come. Backwoods and mossy oak and mud holes. And back then we only gave what the farm grow. Man, I miss some days how we played on them dirt roads. And out of towners came with respect, cause they know we all close. Yeah, Southern pride, towing gun folks. Welcome to my city, I-75 South, just north of Live Oak.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, backwoods when they ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, title town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
It's nothing like our dirt roads, you can bet that, son. I'm from a city, by any means we gon' protect our guns. I hang with the rednecks and geekies. We get up in big trucks in the backwoods like Indians and teepees. This the home of the mighty, mighty Vikings. Wildcats, blazing, title town license. Winners, pretty girls with country grammar. When I say about Austin, Georgia, I ain't talking about Atlanta. This a different type of city, where the woods are pretty, but get gritty. You hear me? What you know about that 229? You can find us on the Florida, Georgia line, right beside me.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, backwoods when we ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey. Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, backwoods when we ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, downtown, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
What's up, Lowndes County? Welcome to the Viking Nation Live. This is your weekly celebration of our One Lowndes community and everything Lowndes. This is our meeting spot once a week that we can rely on for us to connect together as a community. And yes, I'm running behind on everything. One of the examples is I forgot to turn on my light to make everything better and brighter and that kind of stuff. Something that I've deployed on this show is some AI technology. So if you notice that I've got a little piece of hair right there, little younger experience there. So this AI technology is supposed to eliminate the wrinkles and the fine lines and that kind of stuff. So if I look 20 years younger, that's why. So anyway, there you go. So what's up, you guys? Hope you guys are having a great week. Welcome to the Viking Nation Live. I am your host, Larry Godwin. You can call me LG. And if you want to call in and opine tonight, give us a call at 229-469-1205. We've got a couple of guests that's calling in a little bit later on. One will be one of the assistant coaches, John David Sellers. He is the wide receivers coach for your Lowndes High varsity football staff. And the other guest is none other than Cole Moore. I called, a longtime friend of the program. Although he's a TCC fan, he still keeps up with his alma mater, the Tift County Blue Devils. And I reached out to Cole and I asked him to call in tonight because he keeps up with Tift County, and that's who we're playing tomorrow night in the scrimmage game. So I know it's a scrimmage, but we want to catch up with Cole. He's going to fill us in on what he thinks that Tift County is going to bring to Martin Stadium tomorrow night. So stay tuned throughout the entire program. We're going to have a good time tonight. I promise you, we are going to have a good time tonight if it kills me. So whatever you're doing, let's go ahead and de-stress for the week and, kick back with your favorite glass of iced tea and let's just have some fun talking about Lowndes athletics and Lowndes football. So we had the Meet the Vikings last week at the stadium, and I don't know if you had a chance to attend, but it was a pretty good event. Pretty good event. So I'm going to touch on that in a couple of minutes because I met someone there for the first time that I had yet to meet, even though we talked on the phone a couple of times. We've traded direct messages every once in a while, and so I'll reveal who that is in a couple of minutes. But before I go to that, I want to make sure I thank our sponsors. Out of the gate is our title sponsor for the year, and that's Pepsi of Valdosta. They are the fantastic distributors of Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Rockstar, Mountain Dew Energy, Mountain Dew Spark. Everything Pepsi comes out of this bottling plant or distribution center. So we thank the guys at Pepsi of Valdosta. Thank you so much for sponsoring what we do here at the Viking Nation. We also want to thank Kyle Conger at White Oak Investment. Like I said last week, market goes up and down. It fluctuates. So it's been all over the place this week. Been getting a little bit nervous because that's part of my human nature. I get nervous sometimes. I give Kyle Conger a call. He calms me down, keeps me focused. That's what you want in a financial advisor. Kyle could be your guy as well. But at the very least, give him a call just to get some input from him. And if that's something that you're looking for, give White Oak Investment a call at 229-850-8848. We also want to thank this guy, Tim Neesmith, longtime friend of the show and just a hometown guy. We affectionately call him Stick Man. He owns a company called A Shade of Perfection. If you want to make your home beautiful with custom shades and blinds, this guy is the guy at 229-251-3479. Thank you so much, Tim, for your friendship and your sponsorship. Now, continuing along, we thank these guys, the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta, Josh Batson and Justin Haskin. They are your certified headache medicine specialists. Thank you so much, guys, for sponsoring our program tonight. We want to make sure that we thank our sponsors. If you are suffering from migraines, headaches, back pain, any type of pain, really, these guys offer a variety of migraine and back pain treatments. They are your certified headache medicine specialist. That's the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. We thank Chandler Kudik at Aquaworks Pool Company. This guy specializes in keeping pools clean, keeping all the water levels and the chemicals at their proper level so you don't come home to algae growing in the pool and all the nastiness that can come with pool ownership. So if you don't have a person or maybe you're unsatisfied with your current provider, give Chandler a call at Aquaworks Pool Company, 229-415-0752. And then finally, these guys, Imperial Auto Sales. If you have a question about buying a car or you just want to pick someone's brain about the market, how the car market's doing, Tony Green and Trey Hatcher are fantastic human beings to begin with, but they're also experts in the automotive industry. So if you have a car need, give these guys a call. They've got two great locations to serve you. One is on North Ashley Street. The other one's on Bay Tree Road. That's Imperial Auto Sales. Thank you so much, guys, for signing up in sponsorship of our program this year. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors. And hopefully we'll have many more in the coming weeks. So anyway, let's go ahead and check in. Coach Trainer says, hey, LG, been a pretty good week so far. How's yours been? Mine's been great. It's been very busy as always, but it's been pretty good. Brian Spray says, good evening. Robert Lindsay, he is ready to go. It's game week. Absolutely. Strap it up and let's go. Go Vikings. Okay. So we had a pretty good Meet the Vikings event this past week. Do you guys like that format? I don't know if you do or not. I do. I think it can be done. I think some things could be tweaked here and there, but for the most part, I liked it. I really like seeing all the kids that are involved, not just the football team, but the middle school, all the bridgemen that are involved this year, all the cheerleaders, the little Vikes in their dance routine that they like to do. Everybody that's involved, all the cheerleaders were there from the different grade levels. I love one event to recognize all those things. Now, like I said, I would like to see some things tweaked a little bit here and there. I think it could make it a little bit better. So, what are your thoughts on that? One of the things that I did was I met a guy named Emmanuel Shaw. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's the guy that does that Valdosta GA music video that we have as our countdown timer for the show. So his stage name is Lucky Boy Music. I think he's got a production company. I think it's called Emmanuel Films or something like that. So anyway, he's going to be joining us as a guest next week, next Thursday night. We're going to catch up with him, and because he's doing something with the football program, and that is creating a new hype video. And I think there's a special song that's accompanying that. So we can't wait until he debuts that. So next week, he's not going to debut next week on the show, but he's going to join us as a guest so we can catch up with him. Maybe we can kind of pry it out of him with some of the things that he's doing for the football program from a creative standpoint. But anyway, so I was excited to meet Emmanuel this past Friday night. And so I can't wait to have him on the program because it's been quite a while since he's joined us. So it'll be good to catch up with him. So Luke Bush has joined us. He says, Viking Nation, join us tomorrow night cheering on our Vikings. They have put in the work and are now ready to hit some Blue Devils. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. By the way, Luke Bush, you got volunteered to represent the Touchdown Club on this program. So I was talking to your counterparts. I was talking to Daryl Presley and James Darling, and I think Steve Davis last Friday night at the Meet the Vikings event. And I asked one of those guys to come onto the program to talk about the Touchdown Club, some of the things that you guys are doing, some of the fundraisers that you have going on that are pretty exciting coming up. And so they elected you or nominated you, Luke, to come onto the program to talk about it, or at least call into the program to talk about it. So I can't wait until Luke Bush appears on the Viking Nation Live. This might be the first time that he's doing that. So Luke, I hope the guys let you know that. So if they haven't, I'm letting you know that now. So can't wait to see that happen. So Friday night at the Meet the Vikings event, we had a lot of new stuff. We had a brand new turf. How do you guys like the two-tone turf? You know, the previous turf that we had was just one solid green color, right? It was a consistent green from end zone to end zone. But this new turf is a little bit different. There's different shades of green, right? So you got this two-tone color that alternates every 5 yards. So what do you think about that? I love it. Man, I love it. Andy Powell said the field looked sharp. Absolutely, Andy. It was fantastic looking. That's what a few $100,000 can buy you. I mean, I got to admit that it was looking pretty good then. All right, so we had new turf, new coaches, admin support was there, and so we've got a call. Let me go ahead and go to the phone line. Hey, caller, welcome to the Viking Nation Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, this is Coach Sellers, wide receivers coach for Lowndes High School. How you doing?
Coach Sellers, how are you, man? Thanks for joining us on the program tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to get to talk to Viking Nation.
Absolutely, Coach. Listen, now that we're on the eve of the season starting, and we're expecting this time of year. I mean, this is really when people start tuning in from big time. You know, on average, we average about anywhere from 800 to 1,500 viewers a week during the off season, which is pretty impressive every single week. But during the season, like now, tonight, we're probably going to have 2,000 people or more watch this program, either live or on demand a little later on. As the season cranks up, we'll have anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 people a week watching this program. So thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight. Coach, first of all, welcome to Lowndes. I know you're a newer assistant with the program at Lowndes. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
Yeah, my name's John David Sellers, and I coach some receivers here at Lowndes, and I'm married to my beautiful wife, Kristen. She's a teacher here at Lowndes as well. She teaches in the business department.
Excellent.
And so we're She's originally from Clarksville, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I know a lot of people in this area are visiting Nashville a lot, so they get a little taste of where she's from and where we spend a good portion of our lives. And I drug her down here to South Georgia to introduce her to what football is really all about, you know?
Absolutely, man. And I hope
so
that
we're excited to be down here.
Coach, do y'all have any kids?
We do not. No, sir. It's just me and her and the game of football. That's what our life evolves around.
I love it, man. I love it. Listen, I'm sure she is, she's an experienced football wife. She knows what she's getting into because I mean, when you talk to Coach Carter, I don't know if he broke the news to you, how crazy we are about our high school football down here. But, with that said, we're thrilled that you're here and welcome to the Lowndes family.
Yeah. I grew up knowing what it's all about here. I had a very close personal relationship with a longtime head coach here. And so I've known the ins and outs of what this program's all about and what the community's all about for a very long time. And growing up in South Georgia, it's the premier place of South Georgia football. And so, getting a chance to finally be a part of it, it's a box you want to check throughout your coaching career, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's great to hear, Coach. Coach, tell us a little bit about your professional. First of all, where did you play ball? Where did you coach before arriving to Lowndes?
I grew up over in Appling County, Baxley, Georgia, which is about 2 hours south of Valdosta. Grew up playing football over there, played high school football there. We were a premier program in South Georgia for 3A. Never won a state championship, but a deep playoff team, semifinals a couple times while I was playing. And then from there, graduated and went and played college football up at Austin Peay State University, FCS school right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, up in Clarksville, Tennessee. And so I played quarterback there. And then I coached there for 7 years. While I was coaching in college at Austin Peay, I coached everything from quarterbacks to tight ends to running backs, and was the interim head coach at Austin Peay for a little while. From there, I took a high school head coaching job there in Clarksville, Tennessee. And we took over a 3-7 program. And by our second year, we made it to the quarterfinals of the playoffs. So I had quite a turnaround in a short amount of time there. And then after that, I was up in Tennessee for about 14 years, counting my playing time and coaching time up there. And then I was ready to come back to Georgia, where football is just a little bit different. The community's treat it with a little bit more passion. The quality of the game is a little better down here. And it was once I came back to Georgia, I was able to get linked up with Coach Carter, and I was at Grayson with him and, had a great stint there. And then whenever he was in the, running for this job, to be completely honest, he called me in his office one day and he said, "Hey, here's the deal. I'm in position for the job at Lowndes. If I were to get it," and I cut him off right there. I didn't even let him finish his sentence. And I said, "I'm in. Let's go."
All right.
If you get the opportunity to go to Lowndes, I'm in. And so then a week or two later, it ended up working out, and we knew that was what the move was going to be. So
that's excellent, Coach. Listen, since you're an Appling County Pirate, you're no stranger to rivalries over there. I keep up with the football scene across South Georgia, and over the last several years, there's been a really, really strong budding rivalry between Appling County and the Pierce County Bears over there. Pretty strong rivalry.
That's very true, and that is very different from when I was playing, to be quite honest. There's no question Pierce County has changed their program and done well and made that rivalry competitive. When I was playing, actually my last regular season home game was against Pierce County when I was in high school. And at that time, it was one of those, you just check the box as a win. You knew we were going to win it, and it was what it was. But that has big, our big rivalry at that time was Wayne County. The Appling County-Wayne County rivalry was a big deal. But the Appling County-Pierce County game has become quite the game of 3A football. And, it's one of those of that classification people kind of circle and pay attention to these days.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So now you're part of the Lowndes program. Your position group, you introduced as the wide receivers coach. You've had a chance to spend some time with the kids since you've gotten here. So, but I will tell you, historically, and it hurts my heart as a big Lowndes fan to say this, Coach, quite frankly, historically, Lowndes hasn't really been known as a passing team. And our bread and butter has always been the ground and pound game, and we've lived off that.
No question.
But modern day football shows up. Talked to Coach Bailey earlier this year. He says, "Yeah, we're going to start throwing it more." So a lot of expectations there. So you're coaching a very important position group there at Lowndes. What's your assessment of the group of kids that you're working with?
To wrap all that up in a couple of different ways. First of all, you answered a part of the question in something you said, and the game has changed.
Yeah.
And there's no question that, Lowndes was known, especially when Coach McPherson got here and they were running the wing tee, and they were known for running the ball and hitting you in the face. And that's what the place made its name on. And I firmly believe, even as a former quarterback, even as a wide receivers coach now, I firmly believe that if you're going to make a run deep in the playoffs and you're going to be playing Thanksgiving, December, when it's cold, when the elements become a play, you better be able to run the ball. No question about it.
Yeah.
But the game has changed. The game has changed from a skill set standpoint. Teams kind of started figuring out that if you'll match the size on defense and you'll fit the box the right way, then if you can stop the run, you can really shut teams down. And so the rules of the game have also changed a bit to where it's more advantageous to get the ball on the perimeter more. It helps you in certain situations to spread that thing out. And, the sideline runs, it's 53 yards from sideline to sideline. And so take advantage of that green grass. Instead of playing it just in between the hashes, make defenses, make those 11 guys have to cover 53 yards sideways and 100 yards vertical. And when you put that type of stress on teams, you can really exploit some things in the passing game early on. And then when they have to start honoring those things, then that's when, at the end of the day, if you want to win championships, that's when you better be able to run the ball. But when you make teams have to honor that stuff that you've built in on the perimeter, then you can have success back in between the tackles.
Absolutely.
It used to be a game of run to throw, and it's almost kind of becoming a game of if you can get that passing game going, then that can open up your running lane.
I gotcha. Okay. So what's this initial group that you're working with? We're all expecting big things from guys like Jalen Carter, but there I'm sure there's other ones. Who are you looking at having big years for you?
There's a handful of guys that we've been rocking and rolling with pretty consistently. And you mentioned one in Jalen Carter, Aiden Sifa as well on the other side of the ball. And then Keelan Hicks and Leighton Proctor. Those have kind of been our four core guys. Now, Leighton dealt with some injuries back in the spring that held him out for a little bit, but he's come back during the summer. And here in the last few weeks, he's been going full speed. And so he's been working in with those guys. But that's kind of our four core guys on the perimeter that we're rolling with. And, we play with a tight end on the field 90% of the time and Grant Lasky, and everybody's expecting some good things from him. And so, when you've got that tight end on the field, then that gives you three receivers on the field at one time. And so we feel like having a 4-man rotation across all three of those spots, it allows you to always have fresh legs on the field, because when those guys can relieve each other every series, you've got three on the field. Then the next series, one of them comes off and one of them goes on. And if they can all play across the board and give each other a break throughout series, then you've got fresh legs on the field all the time, and you've got dependable players that you trust and that you can expect good things from. You mentioned earlier about Lowndes being a running team, and that's something that, the not passing the football a ton in the history of this program, it was obvious when we got here and, starting to teach the passing game and starting to teach the details of angles and spacing and how one route affects another route. It was not something these guys had a tremendous amount of knowledge on. Wow. Their knowledge is kind of, if I can find green grass, I'm supposed to get to that green grass and get myself open, without truly understanding the spacing of where other people are coming from and how setting up leverage, inside, helping you outside and vice versa. And so those are things that we've been working on as a staff and as a unit. And so those are things that we've got to continue building as the year goes. But, as we're doing that, we're hoping those four guys can get that taken care of for us.
That's fantastic. That's great to hear, Coach. A couple of weeks ago, Coach Carter was on the program, and he was telling us about his whole culture of compete. So,
yes,
as a fan from the outside looking in, we just see the word compete. We just think it's, it's compete, kids competing with, but he kind of broke it down into talking about what each of the different components of the words means. And he's really trying to establish that compete culture. So with that said, how has your receiving core embraced this culture of competing?
We've got a compete period in our practice, and I'm sure Coach Carter elaborated on that. But we have a couple of different periods throughout our practice, and as we break things up and as we go from drill to drill, there's certain sections, and it's labeled compete, and then we have a situation, and that's where the offense is competing against the defense, and that we try to put something on the line, and whoever can win that compete period of whether it's 3rd and long, and whoever can. If they can stop us from getting first downs, or if we can convert, or whether it's goal line, whatever that compete period may be, that's where we're trying to establish that mentality of, hey, it's on the line, and this is when you have to rise to the occasion. And those moments happen throughout a football game. And so also it's a situation of understanding positionally, these are the things that I have to compete and win on, such as, if I run a fade route to the back of the end zone, you're going to run out of green grass, and the quarterback's only got so much green grass that he can lead you to. If we're tight down in the end zone and we throw a fade, you've got to be able to compete and go back through the corner to get up and get the ball. And it's not going to be a perfect throw every time. You're not going to have perfect position every time, but can you over-compete or out-compete the situation and still make a play? And so those are things that we try to emphasize and build that mentality of, hey, it's time to compete, and I'm not going to be denied in that moment. And when you can do that, it's really not just about the position or the unit or the team. It's also a thing that spreads into the community when you can really get that built. We have our compete brand that all of our players wear every day they lift. They're in our compete shorts, our compete shirt. Even the Bridgman, the band they've got their own brand of compete shirts now.
Wow.
And they're wearing our compete brand as they're walking through the school. I'm seeing band members and they're wearing compete. And, that's something that we want to bleed out into the community, because everybody has a stake in the compete culture. It's not just the players. It's, the band bringing their energy into the stadium, that energy feeding into the crowd. Lowndes is known, their crowd is known throughout the state. They're famous for the energy that they bring. Well, if we can bring that compete mentality into the stadium of the band making sure their energy's there, the community matching that energy in the stadium, even though they're known for having great energy in the stadium, competing and elevating it even higher, just like the players do, then, it continues to build and people continue to become more invested. We're even going to offer an opportunity for our community to be able to get part of that compete brand. We're going to be selling the compete brand at the game tomorrow night. We're going to be selling those. We want fans to get out and buy those. And what we're going to do there is get as many people as we can in that compete brand and take it to Moultrie next week when we play the Christ School and create a whiteout up in Moultrie with the compete brand, and our entire community, our team, our band, our community, everybody in the compete brand and buying into that mindset.
Coach, listen, I'm 52 years old. And after hearing you talk about compete for a couple of minutes, after hearing Coach Carter talk about it a couple of weeks ago, listen, I know I probably have exceeded the age limit for high school football, but I'm sure we can do something with documentation. I'm ready to play for you, Coach. How about it?
Hey man, age is just a number. If you can compete in your mind to get back to that level, we can make it happen now.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm the way you described it as a community aspect and a fan base buy-in, I've never really actually heard it put that way before, but you're exactly right. When a fan base is sitting in the stands, they're more than spectators, but they're competing against other fan bases as well. And when that energy level rises up from your home crowd, your fan base, even on the road, it infects those players and everybody gets involved.
Everybody has a responsibility in that stadium. Everybody has a job to do. Receivers have a job to do. They've got to run the right route. They've got to make the right catches. The community is the same way. They've got a job to do in bringing that energy and creating problems for the other team. And so we want to compete and get as loud as we can and make it as chaotic as we can for the other teams, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Coach, let's talk a little bit about tomorrow night. We we put on the pads and the helmets for real, kinda in a preseason scrimmage. But like Coach Carter talking about, as long as we've got a guy out there in a striped shirt and we got two opposing teams, we want to win that ball game. So what as a fan base, what can we expect to see from your receiving core tomorrow night? What is it that you're going to be looking for? Correct route running, speed, accuracy, stats and catching the ball. What is it that you're looking for your group tomorrow night?
Well, first of all, I'm never going to be worried about stats and things like that. What I want is for each player to do their job, whatever that job is, that puts our team in the right position. And that's if we call a screen to the number one receiver, the outside receiver, and the inside receiver's got to get over and make a physical block on the corner, then that's his job, and that's what he's got to have happen. And we try to do a good job of teaching, Coach Carlton, who also coaches receivers as well. And we try to do a good job of teaching our guys play for each other. And so, if I'm the receiver catching the screen, I certainly want the receiver lined up next to me on the field, making that block on the corner, and then vice versa when it goes the other way. And so, I want to see them get out and play for each other, do their job. And as long as they do their job, whether it's, if we've got a slant route called, the correct technique that we teach on that slant route, I want to see them run that and run it the way we've been working it for the last few months. If it's another route, if it's an out route or a shake route, the details that we teach in those routes, and it's very, very, very technical. People who have never played it have no idea how technical it can get. And what we're trying to create when we're trying to create leverage on the defense, and if a corner's playing one way, the way you set them up to give yourself a two-way go so that the corner can't dictate which way you're going to break, things like that. We want to see those things be executed well, because if you execute those things well, then the big play that everybody sees in the stands, that everybody notices, those things take care of themselves. And so the catches, the stats, the yards that come, they come because you do those technicalities well. They come because you play for each other. And, you may spend the first and second quarter having to block for a couple of screens, creating big plays for other people. And then that's when they're trying to play that screen. And the next thing you know, you're breaking on a route right past them. And that's when your play opens up because you've done your job in setting it up for somebody else all night. And so, seeing guys do their job for the team and working those technicalities, and if we can do that, then things will go well for us on the perimeter.
Well, it sounds like you are really putting a premium on how physical your receivers can be, especially in the blocking game. So that's fantastic to hear. Listen, just to close out our time together, here's a little kind of lighthearted question for you. What are some of the things that you like to do in your free time away from the game?
In my free time away from the game, well, my wife loves going to the beach, and that was a big part of getting down here. It got us back closer to the water. And so that's something our life really evolves around me and my situation, coaching football, because, pretty much, during the season, we're working from 6 a.m. till 9, 10 o'clock at night, every night. And then during the off season, you've got a little more time, but you're still preparing all off season long. So her life has to evolve around football a lot. So in those times, I try to do some of what she likes. So she loves going to the beach. We try to sneak over there anytime we can. And then, the only individual thing that I have outside of the game, I do enjoy playing golf. There's a couple other coaches on staff, and, we played golf a little bit in the spring, a little bit in the summer. Now, we've hit that point in the year that you got to go ahead and put the golf clubs in the closet. We'll say hello to them again in January, but, once springtime rolls around, I love the Masters. It's 4 of my favorite days of the year. So we'll start playing a little golf again as the Masters rolls around. But, the other thing my wife and I enjoy doing, we do a lot of hiking. We go on trips, and we like to get up into the mountains, and, we've got some cool stuff like that. And we've done you asked about children earlier, and we haven't had kids, but we have spent our time traveling early in our marriage. And so we've seen a lot of the world and gotten some good views. I'm a firm believer that the best views you got to work for. And so you got to get out and get on your feet and go find those things. And so we enjoy getting physical activity in like that and doing things like that. So anything that keeps us active. I'm a pretty energetic guy, and I like bringing energy, whether it's on the field or off the field.
Well, Coach, this has been a pretty energetic interview. One of the most energetic interviews I think I've ever had. I'm ready to go play for you right now. I don't know how the rest of the audience feels. I think they're feeling the same way, engaging some of the comments they're putting on the comment line here. But again, I want to welcome you to the One Lounge community. I personally hope you stick around for a long, long time. I think your energy is infectious and contagious. Appreciate you calling in and kind of introducing yourself to the community tonight. And listen, I'm gonna make you an offer. When the season's over with and we're hoisting the state championship trophy, and there's some downtime at the beginning of the year, let me treat you to a round of golf. What do you say?
I'll take you up on that in a heartbeat. If you're guaranteeing a state championship, I'll take you up on that, and then I'll take you up on the round of golf after that. But you said it, so let's go make it happen.
Sounds good. Sounds good, Coach. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There he is, John David Sellers. I'm telling you guys, I'm ready to go play for this dude right now. I love the energy. Love it. Love it. Cole Moore, listen, if you are listening right now, Cole is scheduled to call in at 7:40. Cole, I'm going to ask you to push that back a little bit because Luke Bush with the Touchdown Club is getting ready to call in. So we're running a little bit behind. So, Cole, if you don't mind calling right after Luke Bush calls in to catch us up with the Touchdown Club. So, guys, what did you think of John David Sellers, wide receivers coach? Demanding physicality from his receiving core, talking about more than just finding open green grass to run to. I love that line. And he really talked about a concept that I really didn't really think about from a fan base's standpoint. He says, listen, we all got a job to do, including the fan base. When we're engaged in a game, the fan base is basically competing themselves with the opposing fan base. I love it. I love that energy. And as long as we embrace that single-minded compete concept, I think we're going to do a lot of good things this year. I really do. So speaking of good things, check this out. Hold on, caller. We got to enjoy this music. Yeah, if you're watching, if you're just now tuning into the Viking Nation Live, where have you been? We just had Coach John David Sellers, wide receivers coach for the Lowndes County football. And that's Lowndes County, Lowndes High football Vikings call in. Give us an update on what he's been up to. So now we go back to the phone lines and welcome the caller. Welcome, caller, to the Viking Nation Live. What's on your mind?
Larry, it's Luke Bush with the Touchdown Club. Good afternoon.
Luke, how are you, man? You have a good week?
But I've had a tremendous week, but I want to tell you something. I'm ready to run through a daggone wall after listening to Coach. He's amazing.
You and me both, man. That dude had so much energy, and it's 7:30 in the evening. I'm sure he's been working all day long. I don't know if he's got like 7 Monster energy drinks in him. Whatever it is, he brought some energy, that's for sure.
It's the best. At my age, I call it the fountain of youth, and our coaching staff is youthful. They're aggressive. They know the X's and O's. They're eager to get this year started. They've had just a tremendous start. We are ready. We're excited to support them. I just hope everybody just comes out tomorrow night. It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely. Well, Luke, speaking about supporting the program, you're part of an officer corps that supports the program. That's your charge as part of the Touchdown Club, is to support the program however you can. And one of the ways that you do it well is through the fundraising efforts that you do throughout the year. Tell us all what all the Touchdown Club actually does for the program.
Well, you catch me at a disadvantage in that I'm afraid that I'm going to leave off someone or leave off something, because so much is done that goes on behind the scenes by people that are in the shadows, no one ever sees. And this community,
Yeah.
Larry, we are so blessed.
Really
Lowndes
are.
County, Viking Nation, the money, the support, a lot of phone calls that we made, they say, yes, sir, we'll sign up again this year. And that means so much.
Absolutely.
A lot of programs struggle.
Yep.
Finding volunteers. Let's just be frank. Just finding people, men and women, that will just give of themselves for the kids. You hear that a lot in this community. I'm supporting it for the kids. Well, you know what? The Viking Nation truly does.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that the other programs do as well, but I'm not part of the other programs. I'm calling about the Vikings. And I just want to tell you that, I'm nervous and that I'll leave somebody off, but I'm going to give it a Boy Scout effort and see if I can't come up with a few things for you. But, now that you said that I have the permission of the president and the past president, Darrell Presley, and James Darling, hey, and another one, a past president, Bruce Hayden. Let's keep him in our prayers. He's had a little hiccup in his health here lately. He's going to be helping MC and support one of our fundraising events coming up, the Sportsman Banquet at the Elks.
Okay.
September the 26th at the Elks, and he did a tremendous job last year. Give us a call, James Darling. Call me. Call Marshall Hughes. Call the central office if you don't know who to call. They'll put you in touch with us. That's a tremendous outing. And that's coming up September the 26th. That's just one of so many things we got going on. But, everybody, I don't know where to start, Larry, except to say, what's the difference in the Touchdown Club? What do you guys do? Where does the money go? I often ask these questions. I mean, I didn't know, still learning. But, I've been a season ticket holder since the 70s, man, since the 80s. I've been supporting this program. Tremendous. And yes, you have. And yes, we have. And Viking Nation fills the Cement Palace, don't we?
Absolutely. Luke, listen, here's the bottom line. This is really why you're on here. You and I love this football program. We have some stellar coaches, outstanding athletes, a great fan base, fantastic supportive administration. But one thing that we don't talk about very much, but it's because it's kind of an awkward situation, but it takes a lot of money to back a successful, sustainable program, right? Am I right? That's just being honest.
Just to be honest, I mean, just do the math. It's all about math. And truly, nothing can be done without funding, the money. But just to finish up with my thought, then I'll come back to this and address it, because money is where it's at in supporting these kids. But when you join the Touchdown Club, you go a step further than just being a season ticket holder. Being a season ticket holder, we got to have you in the season. We got to have it. We so support that, and we love it, and we appreciate it. And that money goes to all the sports. See?
Yeah.
But now to get money to help with 7-on-7, sending these kids to learn fundamentals, to feed these kids, to do all the things that is done for these kids, it takes money.
That's right.
It takes money. But we do so many things. The spring golf tournament at Francis Lake each year, had that down at the south end of the county at Francis Lake. It's well attended. That's a fundraiser. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Ronnie Sauls wants me to thank all the breakfast moms. Speaking of true volunteerism, these moms wake up before school and they help serve these young men. I mean, it just takes a lot just to get coffee in the mornings, get dressed to go to work, be on time. But they give of themselves. They come in and they serve, and we just couldn't get it done without the breakfast moms. So we want to give them a shout out for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you to all the breakfast moms out there. Absolutely.
Oh, and I sincerely apologize that I don't have their names, But they know who they are, and I wish I did. I know a few, but I hesitate to say a name or two and leave someone off. But Breakfast Moms, believe us from our heart, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hey, we had another at Kinderloo, another golf at our band director John Bowman headed it up, the Plowboy Golf Tournament at Kinderloo. All the teams were sold out in this 100+ degree weather. They came out. This community supports this program, and it was a great tournament.
Yeah.
Hey, when you buy, don't overlook this, people, if you will, and be comfortable in the stands. When you buy your season tickets, let us know that you want to get the seat back rentals too, where you can lean back and enjoy it. Like me, I can't hardly get up and down to be hollering as much as I should.
Absolutely.
A seat back rental is only $30 a seat all year. We'll have it ready for you when you get there. That money goes straight to the club, straight to the kids.
Well, Luke, I'm glad you brought that up. That was going to be my final question for you. I actually got asked about seats and I specifically got asked about people bringing in seats, and then they're always welcome to do that. But if you want to go the extra step, that and in a very affordable way as well, make it a little bit comfortable for yourself while you're sitting at the game. You don't have to lug your own stadium seat back and forth from the car to the stadium and vice versa. It'll already be bolted in place for the remainder of the season. It's only $30 for the entire season. And when you add up all those $30 and imagine a whole stadium full of $30, that's a lot of easy money that we could raise for the football program.
Oh, and every dime of it, every penny of it would go to the program, to the kids. Hey, and at the end of the year, I'll wrap it up because you said that was the last thing you was going to talk about, and that's fine. At the end of the year, these kids deserve and get a tremendous banquet at the end of the year. We try to help out with that. So even when you see the kids come out onto the field, the simple things like the fire extinguishers with the smoke, the excitement before the game, that's not free. I mean, it's not like that was just given free. Every little thing in America costs money anymore. And the only way it's accomplished for these programs is to provide for the coaches so they can elevate our athletes to the level that we have become accustomed and expect. The only way it happens is through Viking Nation and the support of this community, and we just appreciate each and every one of them.
That's right. So, Luke, listen, thank you so much for coming on. You're the treasurer or co-treasurer of the Viking Touchdown Club. Thank you for coming on to the program tonight. Talking about a little bit what you guys do behind the scenes, how you support the program in a major way. And man, I just want to thank you for taking some time to being a fan of the show and contributing every week and calling in tonight.
Larry, 2 words, go Vikings.
Absolutely. Go Vikings. Hey, listen, I just remembered all these fans, we've been talking about silver helmets this entire offseason. Coach Carter talked about, hey, next year there's a possibility of getting silver helmets. Well, guess what? Silver helmets cost money.
They do. But to take a phrase from a movie I watched one time, it's like, I don't know, I like the way he talks. I'll say it that way. I'd love to see it, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, Luke, thank you so much. Hopefully I'll see you at lunch tomorrow.
10-4.
See you, man.
Bye.
Hey, there he is, co-treasurer of the Viking Touchdown Club. That's our one and only Luke Bush. We've had a pretty good program tonight, don't you think? Now, Cole, if you're still tuning in, go ahead and give us a shout. And so we'll talk about a preview of the Tift County Blue Devils in the scrimmage game for tomorrow night. It's going to be a pretty good conversation with Cole because he keeps up with the Tift County Blue Devils. So what do you guys think so far tonight, man? Especially John David Sellers calling in. Oh, by the way, I forgot to bring this in because it's been such an action-packed show tonight that I forgot to give the quote of the day. Because I spend a little bit of time trying to pick out the perfect quote for our segment of the quote of the day. And here's the quote of the day. Never hope that life is easy. That's called laziness. Instead, be determined to become better. Never hope that life is easier. That's called laziness. Instead, be determined to become better. That's our Viking Nation quote of the day. Hey, caller, welcome to the Viking Nation Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, LG, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man. Are you excited for football season? We kick it off tomorrow night, even though it's a scrimmage season. We're one step closer to the real deal, but this is as close as we get until next week.
Yeah, I mean, you find out what you got, right? You are, as football fans, coaches just, it's just another game, gotta getting the kids out there. But us guys like me and yourself, I mean, this is what we live for.
Man,
this is what we've been waiting on.
You just said a mouthful right there, because during the off season, starting in January, if you listen to any fan out there of any local team, they are convinced they've got a state championship team, right?
Yes, everybody's the best team in the state of Georgia.
Absolutely.
Everybody. It's what I call, and you've heard me say it several. Sorry about that. That's some extra commentator.
Yeah, you got an assistant coach there in the background.
Yes, I do. She's something else. But what we have here is everybody thinks they're great. It's what I call talking season, right?
Absolutely.
Start off in January. I mean, everybody thinks they're great. They got their chest sticking, their chest poked out. But buddy, we are getting mighty, mighty, mighty close to finding out what everybody has.
Absolutely, man. So I love the way you put that. We're about to find out what you got.
Talking's over with. Talking's over with. It's time to prove how good you really are.
Absolutely. So let's talk about how good these teams may be tomorrow night. We've got a pretty big scrimmage here at Martin Stadium. And when I say a big scrimmage, I mean that because, you could approach this as a casual fan and say, yeah, it's just a preseason scrimmage. But there's a little bit of developing bad blood between Lowndes and Tift County goes as far as these scrimmages, because quite frankly, we got embarrassed in Tifton last year at a preseason scrimmage to a Tift County team that did not play very well the remainder of the season. And so that's got to be in the back of the Lowndes players and coaches. Is this an important game for Noel Dean continuing his third or fourth? I think it's his fourth season with Tift County, right?
Third
season. Okay. So you got to think. My question is, do you think Noel Dean is approaching this as a big game, not just a preseason scrimmage?
Well, I'm sure he's telling them, or he's been told when he was hired at Tifton. Let's just go back. But when he was hired at Tifton, he was reminded, preseason game or not, how big that football game was to that community.
Yeah.
And there is no, I think I talked to you earlier this week about this. No, we're not Valdosta. I'm not even going to compare Tifton to Valdosta. But there is some bad blood between these two programs.
That's right.
And it's a chippy football game. It's always been a chippy football. You can go back to the 80s and look at highlights all you want, 70s, 80s. You look at our 80s, you look at these games that Tifton and Lowndes played, it got chippy. Most every year it gets chippy. So I think it's a big game for Tifton. I mean, it's a big game for both sides. I mean, you got a new head coach for Lowndes coming in. You got Lowndes didn't have the ideal season as what they are used to. I think every Lowndes fan will agree to that.
Yep.
Of course, Tifton's trying to get better, right? You're trying to build a program there of consistency and trying to get better. And I think that's what you will see out of this Tift County football team is a very better football team. I'm not going to say how good they're going to be. They're going to be a better, much improved team. I think both teams, from my research, both teams bringing back some guys. Both teams lose some guys. Parrish returns from Lowndes, 1,300-yard passer, over 700 yards on the ground. Chris Martin Chris Martin transfers into Tifton, which I think is the biggest thing for Tifton, is a guy that's poised, a guy that's won, a leader, a kid that can actually be a leader.
Cole, I think Chris Martin is out to prove something to the football universe out there, because during the offseason he took some criticism, whether it was right or wrong. I'm not here to debate that, but he did take some criticism because it was with Fitzgerald. Then he transferred to Lee County. Then he transferred back to Fitzgerald. Then he transferred to Tift County. He is a good quarterback, high quality quarterback. Got a D1 offer, I believe, maybe even multiple offers. So you think he's going to be playing tomorrow night with a chip on his shoulder just to prove something to the football universe?
Well, that's the interesting part. We're going to see. The kid's got a chip on his shoulder. Yes, I have heard that. He's got a chip on his shoulder. And when he come to Tifton, he demanded. He's just a kid that just one of those guys that demands respect, and he's going to get it. I'm not saying he's a bad kid. He's a really good kid, really smart, really intelligent kid. But he's one of those guys that was born a leader. We talk about born leaders. Lowndes had one in Ja'Cory Brown. Those type of guys. When you walk into a room with these guys are just born to be leaders. And Chris Martin's one of those. And I think the Blue Devils will go as Chris Martin and that offensive line goes. But
now, answer a question for me. So when I originally heard of Martin transferring to Tift County, my immediate question was, is that a good fit? Because Noel Dean likes to run that pistol veer. So Martin's strength is, I think, his arm, his passing game. So is Noel Dean? Do you expect Noel Dean to kind of not modify, but shape the offense around the strengths of Chris Martin, or is it going to be the ground and pound that we'd come to expect the last 2 years from Tift County?
I think you're going to see more of an open passing game. I think you're going to see more. I think Tifton's problem has been, being scared to pass the ball was what you had. Because in this offense, and you kind of know this offense, you really have to be able to read a defense.
Sure.
You got to know when to pull it. You got to know when to pass it. And I don't think Tifton had that guy there. And I will say this: the passing game should take some of the pressure off. If it's done like I think it's going to be LG. The passing game is going to take some of the pressure off of Damian Moat and what he was able to deal with last year. A lot of people forget, guy had 835 yards. Now, I understand people say, well, run offense, you should have probably more, but, dude, you do have to understand what he was running behind also.
Yep.
Dude's impressive. He's holding some D1 offers. It was really, I enjoyed your wide receiver coach. Ain't he the wide receiver coach?
Yeah, he is. Yep.
That's going to be an interesting battle. I think this is, and a lot of people, some people are going to scratch their heads, but I think this secondary unit is probably the best secondary unit since probably the 80s, when we were talking about the 80s.
Is that right?
I think they're that good. Now, they're that good. Now, they're young, but you're talking about there's 3 guys in the secondary that are getting D1 offers right now. And Coach Romer's one. Javion Romer is probably going to be, I don't want to say the best defensive back to ever come through Tifton, but he's going to be darn good. Kirby Smart's been looking at him. And he's just a sophomore. He's going to be really talented. Zamorian Brown is a senior there. He's committed to Western Kentucky right now, but he should garner some more interest. He got an offer from Georgia Tech not too long ago. So, and they're really talented in the secondary. So the only good thing for Lowndes is, you're not going to be playing a slouch secondary if you're looking to pass.
That's right.
Which I think Lowndes is. Well, and I told myself, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to be unbiased. I kept telling myself, I'm going to be unbiased when I come on this show. I want to be the good media guy. You're not going to get the cold version of this. But your Lowndes returned some good talent, too. I mean, the Parrish kid has, I'm telling you, Parrish kid has talent.
That's right.
And the sky's the limit for this kid. You know, as long as he keeps working. The one thing I do wonder about Lowndes, offensive line play, and the replacement of Kivas Thomas, I think that's going to be something to look for if I was a Lowndes fan, you know, kind of wanting to see there. Your linebacker core is, in my just the outsider looking in, it's probably your strength, one of the strengths of that team. The Coleman kid, he's really talented. So it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of interested to see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. You bring up a good point about Kivas Thomas. Pretty special wideout, really all-purpose athlete for us last couple of years. Really made some big plays, especially against Grayson last year. Came out firing on all cylinders, and he was a big component of that. So we got to replace him. But I do think, like Coach Sellers was talking about just a few minutes ago, I do think we do have an up-and-coming receiving core that is more than capable as a unit to step up and make some big plays for us.
Well, that's why I said, and this is not, I'm being unbiased, that secondary group in Tifton is really good. Now, the linebackers and the defensive line does need work. It's not the defensive line that, you know, people are accustomed when you think of Tift County football. One of the first things you think about is that defensive front. You know, they're really young. The talent they did lose last year was on the defensive front. Linebackers is kind of iffy there, but the secondary, if you want to see how you're passing it, that's a special group they got right now in Tifton. That they're coached up well. You know, that this is not last year's Tift County team. I'm not going say, well, the Blue Devils are fixing to win a state championship. I do know that they will improve. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but I'm saying somewhere in between 5 and 5. You know, somewhere in that, maybe sneak a 6 and 4 in there. They're good. They're talented. They're a scrappy bunch. These are the kids that actually believe in Noel Dean's system. They believe in coach, and you know that's a big thing too. LG is you know, you get a coach, even Adam Carter. Your kids have to buy into that system.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really interested to see. You know, this game is not a normal scrimmage. This isn't, you know, Cook and Thomas County Central.
Absolutely.
No, these are two teams that don't like each other. Two programs that this is a tone setter for both teams, you know, just getting out there and wiping away what happened last year, and let's get after it and see how good we really are or what we need to improve on. You know, that's what a scrimmage is about. I know, you know, I want to win just like anybody else.
Well, you know? You're exactly right. You make a good point. And both teams, I think you put it well. Both teams, even though it's a preseason scrimmage, they have, in their own way, they have something to prove to not just the outsiders, but they got something to prove to themselves. Lowndes is trying to rebound from, in my opinion, a disastrous season last year. Tift County is trying to elevate their program to get it out of the cellar and become a respectable program once again, which I believe they can. So both of these programs have something to prove tomorrow night. But I'm going to put you on the spot. In 3 quarters of varsity play, probably.
Don't do this.
Well, you know what's coming. What's going to be the final score?
Oh, Lord. You know,
if you want to say I plead the Fifth Amendment, you have that right.
No. I'm not going to sissy out. I'll give you a score. You know, but I'll go Lowndes 28, Tifton 21.
Okay. Pretty high scoring game then for a preseason scrimmage.
Yeah, I think I'm going 28, 21, 21, 14, somewhere in there.
Okay.
That way.
For a 3-quarter matchup, that's a lot of scoring. The trainer is right there with you. He says he expects to see a high scoring affair.
Yeah, I mean, this may be a situation where but I think I think Lowndes fans don't need if that scores like that. Let's say it's a 7-point swing. Do not hang your head. I'm telling you, this is not last year's Tift County football team.
Okay.
Don't hang your head if it's a 7. If you win by 7 points and say, "Oh my gosh," I know fans are the worst about pressing that panic button. Please do not push the panic button on your football team.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen here, but I do want to leave you with this, Cole. Candace Murray, one of our football moms, she is a super fan in her own right. She pays you a compliment. She says Cole is a beast.
Well, I got this bad.
I agree with you. You are bringing it tonight, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I try to do the best I can, and regardless of what people say about me, I have a lot of respect for that program at Lowndes. I'm glad to see Adam Carter. I think Lowndes fans, you got a heck of a man, and he's a great coach and good family man. So hopefully this is the guy that y'all can get to stick around for some years.
I got you. Listen, I hate to say this, but Candace is correcting me. She says that she wasn't paying you a compliment. She was paying Coleman Lewis, one of our linebackers, a compliment. She calls him Cole for short.
Yeah,
which to me is hilarious. Candace, why couldn't you just keep that to yourself?
Yeah, you should have just left that be.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I remember earlier saying Coleman Lewis was he's really good.
Yeah.
So y'all got some talent. So
absolutely,
I know
man.
You're getting cut short on time, LG, but I was just coming to preview the game and man, may the best team win on Friday for bragging rights.
Absolutely, man. Hey, Cole, let's make this a regular segment with you, man, because you always bring the goods, dude. Have a great weekend.
All right, bud.
See you, man.
Goodbye.
There he is, the one and only super fan, Cole Moore. So Cole was on. Listen, regardless of what you guys think, Cole was bringing it tonight. The dude's got some knowledge about that football program, no doubt. So anyway, he's a longtime friend and a friend of the program. So anyway, let's get on with the show. Speaking of some of our players, this is one of the things that Coach John David Sellers was talking about that's coming up. I wanted to go ahead and put this up on the screen. I'm going to make this full screen because I think you guys can still hear me. So this is something that we're calling all fans. You need to go ahead and get your tickets and join us over in Moultrie on August 19th. We're going to white out the MAC. August 19th, 4 p.m. in Moultrie, Lowndes versus Christ School. Right now we have, starting tomorrow night at the stadium, at the scrimmage, we're going to have these white compete shirts that are going to go on sale. And they're also going to be available at the ticket office next week. So go ahead and get your compete shirts tomorrow night. Be sure to wear them to the season opener there in Moultrie on August 19th at 4 p.m. when Lowndes takes on Christ School. Now that is a little bit different because Lowndes has been designated the home team, but we have elected to wear our white jerseys. So that's interesting. Maybe this is one of those things that Coach is trying to rally the troops, rally the community together, establish this white out the MAC type of deal. So let's go ahead and get our shirts tomorrow night and wear them over there to Moultrie in what's next week. So speaking of next week, we got, where is it? Well, I'm so disorganized right now. you guys got me so discombobulated. So let me go ahead and brag on this guy, Carson Page, Lions football punter, has been selected to be a member of the preseason Class 7A All-State team. So congratulations, Carson Page. Listen, the dude is having a stellar year, had a stellar year last year, is starting up great again this year. Last year, at the end of the season, won a state championship with the baseball team. Now he's been named as a preseason 7A All-State team member as a punter for your Lowndes Vikings. Fantastic job. So congratulations, Carson Page. So what are you guys up to tonight? You really looking forward to the scrimmage against Tift County tomorrow night? I really am. Man, I am so excited. I hope you are as well. So tickets for the Georgia Carolina Challenge are still on sale right now. They're $15. Guys, we are trying our best to push this as hard as we possibly can because we want to see as many Lowndes fans travel over to Moultrie for that season opening kickoff game against Christ School. So last week, I made it a point to talk about how well our fans have traveled in the past. It's fallen off the last couple of years, but let's get that kicked off again because as Coach Sellers was talking about, we all have a role to play. We all we all have a job to do, right? The players have a job, the coaches have a job, the administration, the band, and the fans have a job as well. So our job is to go get these shirts, participate in this whiteout, show up to MacTharp Stadium over there. Let's white out their stadium and infect our team with as much energy as we can possibly give, because we all recognize that football is an emotional sport. It is. The team and most schools, both teams, when they play one another, they're both usually highly charged emotionally. But that emotional high that they come out with to start the game usually only lasts one or two series. That's usually it. So all the coaches, they give their pep talks and that kind of stuff. The team comes fired up. But when your opponent that you're lined up across hits you in the mouth, that's when the emotion leaves. So you either step up or you step back. And so that's when the energy and the emotion from the crowd can really lift a team. And if we can sustain that for 4 quarters, we give our boys a tremendous advantage. We've seen it time and time again at the Concrete Palace. Let's do the same thing at MacTharp Stadium on August 19th against Christ School. Before we adjourn for the night, we got a few minutes left in the program. I wanted to give you a couple of updates that occurred during the GHSA trustee meeting that happened this past week, or just actually this week. So this is something that we've been talking about a couple of shows, and it's this 2-year sit-out period when it comes to, it's this 2-year sit-out period when it comes to these middle schoolers that attend these camps. There's some discussion. So we know that this is a serious deal. They're probably going to adopt this bylaw. They might end up making some changes because they had a discussion about it, according to the minutes that was published. So here's what they talked about. So they discussed this idea at length. Several members of the board expressed concerns that the penalty was for 2 years instead of 1 year, while all other listen to this, while all other GHSA penalties are for a single calendar year. So they're not really talking about whether they like this rule or don't like this rule. They're getting into the detail, the minutia of the rule itself. Should it be 2-year penalty? Should it be a 1-year sit out? That kind of stuff. And check this out. This next sentence really grabbed my attention, and it's this. It was suggested that perhaps the wording could be changed to a 1-year sit out. Check this out. And then a 2nd year of migratory status, so the student athlete in question could at least practice during the 2nd year. So that tells me the original rule as written wasn't even going to allow the student athlete to practice with their team during that 2-year sit out period. So that's new information for us. So they continue. There also was discussion about how early the scrutiny would begin, with several members expressing concern about monitoring students earlier than the 8th grade. And check this part out. it was also brought up that there should be a penalty for the coach involved and not just the student athlete, which is an excellent point. It takes two to tango. You've heard that expression. So if there's going to be a penalty assessed because of a possible recruiting undue influence violation, that's basically what this rule is getting to the heart of or trying to address. So if it takes the coach and the student athlete to participate in that rule violation, why wasn't the coach going to get penalized? So now they're talking about adding that into the new rule as well. So stay tuned, because it says in the end, the board agreed to revisit the issue at the fall state executive committee meeting in October. So stay tuned. That issue is not going away. It may not end up passing, but it's getting serious now. It's getting really, really serious. It's going to be interesting to see what the final details of that bylaw, that new bylaw, is going to be. So another discussion. This is a discussion of a possible bylaw change to an existing rule. And this basically deals with, you've all, I'm pretty sure you've all are familiar with the rule that says that if a coach leaves one school and coaches at another school, a player cannot follow that coach to the school, to the same school, or otherwise they'd have to sit out for a year. It's basically a 1-year penalty. So in other words, they can't really transfer to that school that the coach is going to for a year without penalty. Okay. Now here's the flip side. Here's what's being discussed to modify this bylaw change to address the other situation as well. What if the student athlete transfers to a different school? What happens if a coach follows that student athlete to the new school? Should there be a penalty there? So they're talking about that. There's one particular person of this member, this executive committee. She cited a recent case where an athlete transferred to another school, and less than a month later, that athlete's coach took a job at the same school. So most of the board seemed to agree with Masters that the situation also should carry a penalty. All right, see, now they're getting into the details of that. But several of the members pointed out that the GHSA does not need to get into the hiring practices of schools or try to limit where a coach can take a job without penalty. Okay, so these are schools. Here's me reading between the lines. Some schools are pushing for this rule change because they see that schools are finding ways around these rules, right? But other schools that may have a vested interest in keeping the status quo is pushing back. It's like, do we really want to get involved with the hiring practices of schools and policing that kind of stuff? So this is the real hard legislative work when it comes to regulating transfers. Everybody says they hate the idea of transfers and how it gives teams competitive advantages. But now we've talked about two specific rules that may either get added or changed to address this. And when the rubber meets the road, some people are balking. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these two rules play out at the level of the GHSA. A couple other things that I want to talk about. Reclassification is coming. Reclassification. If you are a fan of college football, you know what I'm about to talk about briefly. And that's conference realignment. It has shaken the world of college football. Basically, the Pac-10 is hardly a conference anymore. They got like 4 or 5 teams left, right? Because everybody's jumped ship. So all these cool schools start to move around and it changes the landscape. So at the high school level, reclassification is as close to conference realignment as we can get. Now, in a normal year of reclassification, it's basically you might tinker around with the regions and move a couple of teams here and a couple of teams there. But starting next year, we're going to have a monumental shift in Georgia high school football when classification contracts from the existing 7 classes back down to 6. Because you're going to have basically an entire class of schools out there that's going to have to be consolidated and basically, if I could use this technical word, squished in with these other schools. And now, because you've got this entire class that's being squished together with everybody else. Now it's going to affect just about every class available. And when you affect every class, now you're affecting every region. So where are these teams going to line up? So we're talking about basically conference realignment at the high school level here. So this next reclassification is a major, major deal. And now they're starting the process. It's closer than we think. They start to work on this thing immediately because you know why? Because this stuff is going to be announced at the end of the season. That's basically the way this stuff works. So they had this discussion of reclassification process for the 24 through 26 cycle. And Dr. Hines reminded the board of the previously adopted policies in effect for the next reclassification cycle. And here's probably the most important thing, namely a reduction from 7 classes to 6, and the fact a student entering a school system prior to the 6th grade would be exempted from any multiplier in effect. So that sounds like there was a little bit of rumblings that they might end up dropping the multiplier, the 3-point multiplier with this new reclassification. But these comments kind of indicate that they're going to keep the multiplier. I don't know if it's going to be 3 points. They might move it back down to 2, but it sounds like they're going to keep the multiplier moving forward, even with contracting classes down to 6. So stay tuned. A lot of interesting stuff happening at the GHSA. And guys, we have 8 days, 21 hours, 43 minutes, and 23 seconds until kickoff versus Christ School. So we talked about a lot tonight. We had a lot of stuff on the agenda, and we've just about covered the entire thing. Now, I'm going to end the show in the next few minutes, and I want to say something about the Meet the Vikings event. Something that I noticed. You've heard me on this show talk about the 4 pillars of success over and over again, right? Every school, every program, every athletic program, in order to maintain a high level of sustainable winning, to be a sustainable championship type of program, you've got to have 4 foundational pillars in place. You got to have really good coaching. You got to have good athletes that are coachable. You got to have community support in terms of butts in seats, showing up at football games, right? And those same community supports actually translates into raising dollars for the program because, like it or not, money fuels everything. But something that I noticed Friday night also speaks to one of those foundational pillars, and that's administrative support. Even for a Meet the Vikings event, it wasn't a real football game, not even a scrimmage. It was just a fan event where they just the different programs and Lowndes introduced the kids that were going to be involved. But who was there prominently, front and center? Just about everybody from the administration level that touches football was there. Josh Akers, the assistant athletic director. Danny Redshaw, the new Lowndes athletic director. Fantastic support from these 2 guys, right? So when I call these guys up, I mean, they bend over backwards to provide information, to help me out, that kind of stuff. And they're even working harder to support their athletic programs. But then you also saw that come down from the top as well, right? So you saw Leanne McCall. Leanne McCall is a fixture on the sidelines. Every time there's a football event, she's there. Every time there's an athletic event of any kind, it seems like Leanne McCall is there. When I'm talking about administration support, that's what I'm talking about. Even in a time of turbulent leadership at the top, it's no secret. Now, everybody in the state knows that we lost a school superintendent, and now we have an interim superintendent in Sandra Wilcher. Sandra Wilcher, the interim superintendent, was there front and center as well. That's the kind of support that our administration and our community offers our athletic programs. And specifically, we're talking tonight about the football program. I love what our administration is doing and the level of support that they not only show in the background, but they actually show out front as far as the public sees. Because it's important. When we're taking on Metro Atlanta teams every single year, we have got to have a united front. We have got to have a true one Lowndes mentality. I'm completely bought into what Coach Carter and what Coach Seller was talking about. We all have a job to do, including our fan support. When we show up to a game, that's a job for us on that Friday night. Our job is to lend emotional support to that team as best as we can, and we do that by competing with other fan bases. So at the end of the night, at the end of the football game, I want our fan base to kick the living crap out of the opposing fan bases. I hope I came across very tactfully when I said that. Right? So that's what I wanted to talk to you tonight. So Sandra Wilcher, thank you so much for showing some leadership. I don't know if Sandra's going to be the full-time superintendent or not, but I'm starting to think that I hope she is. From a pure athletic standpoint, I'm sure she's strong on the academic side as well. But the pure athletic standpoint, I'm loving everything that I'm seeing out of our interim superintendent. So guys, keep up the great job. You got my full support. I'm sure the Viking Nation is 100% behind you guys. So with that said, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Wish you guys have a great weekend. For the rest of you, I hope to see you tomorrow night at the Concrete Palace when we show those pesky Tift County Blue Devils how a real football game is played. Until then, y'all have a great week. May God bless you. And as always, go Vikings.